Hey, what is up guys, this is Cobb, and welcome to what might just be the most solid endgame way to play a ranged rogue in Diablo 4. We're going to go over the build really quick, go over some key legendary aspects that you're going to want to pick up. We're going to talk about the playstyle just a little bit, as well as some Paragon board priorities. So, getting straight into the build, what we are looking to do is basically combine very powerful penetrating shots with the likes of Shadow Imbuement and Poison Imbuement. And I've even seen some people with this build go into Cold Imbuement as well, and just be like a full Imbuement rogue ranged build, which can totally work too. There's a lot of flexibility with the build, but the key abilities you do want to pick up are Penetrating Shot, and you want to rank this up to max. Again, this is a level 50 plus build, so you should have the available points to do that. And Shadow Imbuement. Those are the two key picks, for the simple reason that Shadow Imbuement has a kind of sub-skill that you can pick up called Blended Shadow Imbuement, which makes the primary explosion of your Shadow Imbue apply vulnerable to all nearby enemies for 2 seconds. And the idea is that you just want to be Shadow Imbue Penetrating Shot, the strongest enemy in a pack of mobs, and creating a crazy, ridiculous, huge cascade effect where you're just exploding entire units of mobs in 1 or 2 huge, fat, ridiculous penetrating shots. And so that is the long and short of it. In order to complement this, you are going to be or at least I would suggest rather, going into combo points as a rogue. Stick with combo points as your kind of class passive. Just because you want to be throwing out a few daggers, quickly build up 3 combo points, 2 or 3 combo points, just to even further empower your penetrating shots' initial damage, because getting that explosion, getting that huge explosion from a Shadow Imbuement kill with a Shadow Imbued penetrating shot is what is going to actually kickstart this whole cascade effect. So, just making that penetrating shot as powerful as possible with combo points is going to help you out a lot. When it comes to your agility and subterfuge skills, you can really go into whatever you want here. This one is kind of personal preference-y. I really like the dash for the second passive that you can pick up, which is Enhanced Dash, and that is enemies damaged by a dash take 15% increased crit strike damage. It's just nice against those tankier bosses. It feels good against world bosses. Just those really beefier targets that are going to take much longer for you to take down. Yeah, huge fat penetrating shot crits feel really good with Enhanced Dash, and I just like the extra mobility. For the subterfuge skill, I've tried out Smoke Grenade. I really like Smoke Grenade. I also really like Concealment as well. Kind of up to you. This build right now that I am running does completely forego picking up an ultimate. You could even go into an ultimate ability if you want. A lot of flexibility with what you do with the other skills. The core of the build is basically going to be the Penetrating Shot, Shadow Imbuement, plus at least one other imbuement ability, just because the cooldown is so long on Shadow Imbue that you want something else to do in the meantime. So, yeah, that's the skill build, TLDR. Alrighty.
Greetings.
Welcome to my character itself, and in this quick part of the video, we're just going to go over the legendary aspects that you want to be gunning for and you want to be prioritizing as this build. And I gotta warn you, I've optimized these very badly. A lot of these are codex aspects, and so they're very weak right now on this character, and they have a lot of room for potential power growth if I am to pick up some better legendaries and better items with these effects on them. So, first off, we have the Band of Corruption here, and this is the aspect of corruption applied on this ring, which your imbuement skill effects now have a 20 to 40% increased potency against vulnerable enemies. This is just extremely good, man. This is amazing. This is fantastic for that cascade effect. Basically, your Shadow Imbuement, when it detonates, is going to make all enemies vulnerable in like a huge AoE, and when they explode, they make the enemies beside them vulnerable. Then when they explode, they make the enemies beside them vulnerable, and it goes on, and you get this huge, crazy cascade effect, and that's what allows you to just one-shot the crap out of entire packs of enemies. I would actually advise having this legendary effect, if you can, applied on your two-handed weapon, so that you can go up to 80% increased potency with your imbuement effects against vulnerable enemies.
Hello.
Extremely powerful stuff, right? I have it on my ring right now because I'm an idiot and I haven't actually optimized the build just yet. Who the hell is chatting like that, man? Someone ruining my video. Anyway, man, just ignore this beggar beside me. This should really be on your weapon. I just don't have the resources right now to re-enchant this onto my weapon, right? To imprint this on my weapon. The one that I do have on the weapon is the one that I should really have on a one-handed weapon. And this is whenever penetrating shot damages an enemy, 2 additional arrows split off to either side, dealing 20 to 50% of penetrating shots base damage. This makes your penetrating shot, which is this is the aspect of trick shot or trick shot aspect. This gives your penetrating shot some AoE potential. It lets it spread the imbuement effects, most importantly, to as many enemies as possible, right? Because the arrows are splitting off and, yeah, debuffing the crap out of everybody. Very, very important stuff. And those really are the 2 super important aspects that I would highly, highly recommend. One extra aspect that I would bid you consider is, I think, this one right here. Yes. Okay, so this is Mangler's aspect, I guess. Aspect of mangling. I don't know, something like that. Imprinted. Dealing direct damage to a vulnerable enemy has a 45% chance, 25 to 45% chance, to daze them for 2 seconds. Just good for survivability. This is good if you're doing content that's just a little bit out of your level range, like a sigil that is much out of your level range, and you're going to take a little bit longer to get enemies down. Applying the daze effect makes it so that enemies can't attack you, as long as you're damaging them while they are vulnerable. And so, yeah, it's just grand to have for survivability when you're pushing that slightly more difficult content, where you're not quite able to one-shot the entire pack in one fell swoop. Okay, so the playstyle for this build is pretty self-explanatory. The main thing I do want to draw attention to, though, is obviously that combo point generation. You generally want to be using your penetrating shot when you have at least 2, maybe 3 combo points built up against these packs. And, yeah, that's just going to empower your penetrating shot by a lot. You also want to make sure and get into the habit of always aiming your penetrating shot at the tankiest target right in the middle of the pack. Be aiming for elite units, be aiming for shielded units as well. Yeah, just to make sure that those guys are taking the full brunt of the penetrating shot base damage, because they're much, much less likely to be killed off by the huge AoE explosion, although that certainly does help as well a lot of the time. And so to wrap things up real quick, we have your Paragon board priorities. Now, this one is a little bit more of kind of work in progress, a little bit more, again, personal preference, but there are some key glyphs that you want to be looking to pick up. There are some key effects that you want to be looking to maximize. One of them, right here, I guess, is just like chip. This one is fine. 5 dexterity purchase within range makes you deal 2.9% increased physical damage. This is just a fine glyph to kind of slot in there. Not really too much more to say about that. The other glyph that I have in right now is one that I would actually not recommend. It was one that I was trying out, leveled up just a little bit, just to kind of give it a bit of a run out. And this is for every 5 intelligence purchased within range, you deal 3.9% increased damage to poisoned targets. Now, this glyph is okay. It's good against those fatter targets. It's good against those tankier targets. But at the same time, I wouldn't hyper-prioritize it over this happy little glyph down here, which I just mouse over the wrong one. Where is it? There it is, men. Exploit. This one is just fantastic, obviously, because for every 5 strength purchase within range, you deal 1% increased damage to vulnerable targets, which is all targets. You know what I'm saying? So this glyph is really, really excellent. I just don't have the board right now to support this. My access to strength glyphs on my Paragon board is just really, really bad. I'm also going to be eventually working my way around to the exploit rare nodes, which are also fantastic, right? Increased damage to vulnerable targets is what this build is all about. It's about making entire packs of mobs vulnerable at the same time and just blasting them all at the same time with the huge shadow-imbued explosions. Yeah, so anytime you can pick up rare exploit nodes, this is just going to be awesome for you as well. But that is going to be the TLDR of the build. So, hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to tweak this any which way you want, optimize it any which way you want. If you disagree with any of the choices, if you have some own ideas of how to make Ranged Rogue even more powerful, list them down below. Oh, one other thing, one extra little tidbit that I should mention for you all who've stuck around towards the end of the video, is that typically speaking, I find this build works better with crossbows instead of bows. I have a bow right now because it's just so powerful. But I feel like it works better with crossbows because while bows have faster attack range, and so their DPS... while bows have faster attack speed, Crossbows, because they attack slower, tend to do more damage per hit, which makes them scale better overall with your penetrating shot. So that's the reason, you know? So ideally, grabbing a crossbow with the build, in my opinion, is probably a little bit better. Bows do have more damage against distant enemies, which you'll be hitting a lot. So I don't know, man. Maybe that's a point of debate. Let me know what you think. I feel like the build will probably be a little bit better, though, with crossbows, but that's just me. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed, and I shall catch all of you guys just a tad bit later.